Hi, I'm Jamie Cooper. It's July 22nd, 2017, and I am about to show you the way we do the pill medication filling for my father's pill boxes. And we will take our time and go through it very slowly. What we're doing is a 90-day version of filling all his various pills. So when he does 90 days, it's basically 12 weeks. So if you look at the table here, I have weekly pill boxes. I have 12 of them for the 12 weeks, which is about 90 days. So I'm going to attempt to take each box and fill it systematically as we go along with the various medications. We have several different types of boxes, and that's just because we're on a little bit of a budget. But basically, the boxes, I'll point out the differences. These ones in the top row, they're divided into 5 sections, and they're the best because my father does take 5 separate times during the day he takes his pills. So this is the optimal one. But then because we couldn't get too many of these, the rest of them are divided every day of the week, but into 4 sections, which are called morning, noon, evening, and bed. So basically when we fill everything, we just take it into 5 sections for the top row, and then we take number 1 and number 2, which is on these, and we put them together into the morning. And then later when we get into that week, we get them separated. But for now, it's going to be pretty easy. We just want to set everything up. If you notice that everything starts on a Sunday, the week starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday, and that's the case all the way across. So we have the 5 times a day versus 4 times a day, but it's not going to be that big of a deal to separate it out. And we basically want to start with everything open so we can quickly load everything, and we'll get into a little bit of rhythm. I've taken similar boxes in the same row, so it'll be easier for me to fill them. And that's basically what I can tell you about the different boxes. Now we're going to go ahead and look at the medication chart. This is our guideline for when we fill the boxes. My dad takes 9 different types of medications. Some of them he takes only once a day, and some of them he takes more than once a day. So we're going to use this as a guideline to go through as we fill the pills. You'll see this corresponds with the way the boxes are set up. The week, as I said before, starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. And we do have them in the 5 sections like we did on the top row. 1, we just called it wake up, and then AM, noon, evening, and bedtime. And it's very consistent, except for the moment we have a little difference for now for his blood thinners. There's a difference on Mondays and Fridays only. In the noontime, he's going to take Plavix. So we have to be really careful when we get to the noon category as we go down, that on Monday and Friday only we put in the Plavix. And on the other days, we put the silestazole. So that's the only one that's different. Other than that, we pretty much just go right down the line. You know, every day he gets the same things every day at the same time. So it's pretty consistent except for that one inconsistency. Now let's talk a little bit about the master cardboard box. This box is kept in the laundry room, so it's out of my dad's way. And I've set it up so it corresponds with the medication chart and also with the boxes. So if you look at the front part of this box, it says morning. There's a piece of cardboard here, and this is what separates number 1 and number 2. As I said, number 1 and 2 are different on the smaller boxes out there, but then when we start filling the other boxes, we combine 1 and 2. But only in the number 1 slot is the thyroid medicine. Okay, so we have that up here, and that's it. Then in number 2, he takes 3 different drugs. He takes metoprolol for blood pressure, Norvasc for blood pressure, and Sinemet for Parkinson's. So what I did was, the way they're lined up on the chart, I had them lined up on the box. So if you look in the back, we have metoprolol, then we have the next one, which is Norvasc, and then we have the next one, which is Sinemet. Okay? Then we go into the next category, which is noon. Silestazole, Sinemet, and Brevika, but with the Plavix on the 2 days. So we have silestazole, then we have the Plavix, which is also called clopidogrel. Forgive my pronunciation, so I put them together even though it's one or the other. Then we go into the Sinemet, Then we go into the Imbrevica. I've got 2 bottles of it, so I put them together, but it's just the one drug. Evening, which is number 4. You see evening right here. We have the silostazole again, and this keeps it really easy to fill. Atorvastatin, which is second right here, corresponding. Then we have Norvasc, and then we have the Cinnamate, and then finally at bedtime it's just one medication, trazodone, and it's right here, okay, under bed on the cardboard box. You may notice there are some drugs that he takes more than once a day. So before we start, what we make sure we do is, even though we might receive just one bottle with a 90-day supply, for example, Cinnamate, he gets 1 bottle of the 90-day supply. But what we do is we have 3 separate bottles, and we divide them up equally before we start, so we have an equal amount in each slot that he takes it, so it's easy as we go through. We don't have to keep returning to the 1 bottle, okay? And we do that for the Norvasc, which he takes twice during the day. We have 2 separate bottles. So that's all part of the preset, that we divide that up, making sure that everything is in ample supply in each column before we start. Also, to take note, there are 2 medications that he only takes half of. So before we start, we make sure we use the pill splitter, which is right here, and we cut the pills in half. The ones that he cuts in half are in the morning, that metoprolol. Okay, so that should be right back here. Yep, and they've already been cut in half and put back in the bottle. Then in the evening, he takes atorvastatin for cholesterol. Okay, so that should be right here. And we have them already cut in half. So it's very important before we start that we have our rows lined up and that we have everything cut in half, divided into the various categories, so we can keep track as we go through filling the pills, and that we have a 90-day supply of everything. Okay? So now we're ready to begin. I'm just going to start with the very first thing, which is Wake Up, number 1, which is going to be number 1 up top, and or the top category in each row for all the corresponding pill boxes. So what I'm going to do, this is the first drug. It's called levothyroxine. It's for his thyroid. I'm just going to carefully take a nice handful. Yeah, I can always go back. And I'm just going to go down the line. And I'm going to carefully place 1 in each top portion of each box. Okay? I also remind you that I open each box before we start to make it easy. So I'm going through Friday and Saturday. Okay, so that's 1 week, 11 more to go. Okay, so I'm just going to go through 1. You know, sometimes they might fall in the wrong category, so you just go through. I urge you, when you do this, do not play any music, do not have a conversation with somebody, do not pick up the phone, no texting, nothing. You need to concentrate in a quiet environment when you fill these pills, so you make sure that you get everything done and keep them lined up, because if they're not lined up, you might accidentally put an AM pill in a noon slot, and that would not be good, because my dad will take the medication at the wrong time. So you just have to be very careful, and we're going all the way through. Some of these are easier than others to put in, so I'll keep going. Sometimes I say the name just to keep myself occupied. Okay, so now that's 4 weeks. Okay, now I'm going to go on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going across. See, when you have the like ones, it's easier to keep track of it, and it's easier to fill because you know what's going. And take your time. It's not a race. Okay, so now I have to go back. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more weeks, so I'm going to go back. And because I counted everything in advance, I know I'm not going to run out. But if I do run out of something towards the end, I'll show you what we're going to do. And that way, later on in the months ahead, if we have something that ran out, once the prescription comes in, we can easily just add it into the box. But we don't want to do it too much. We just want to do it maybe for 1 prescription if there's an emergency or for some reason it's coming in late. Okay, so these boxes are pretty easy to fill, actually. So it makes it easier. Whoop. Okay, yep, that's still good. Okay, just a couple more. They're all a little different. And be careful you drop anything. Just make sure it goes back in. 4. Almost done. 2, 3. Okay, so I need 3 more, and then I'm going to be completely done with what is called section 1. Okay, so now I want to remind everybody that these small ones on the top are divided into 5 times a day, while everything else is 4 times a day. So for our purposes, we are finished with number 1 just on the top row. So I'm going to close them just so I don't confuse myself. So the next category, I'm going to go into number 2 on just this top row. But for all the other weeks, I'm going to just add them to the first one because we have a different number of times per day. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and finish closing these. Then I'm going to move on into the what's called AM section, which is going to be the Metoprolol, the Norvasc, and the Cinemet, which are up here. And 1 bottle at a time, I'm going to go through and add it to number 2 on the top row and into the same as the morning in all these other rows. 1 bottle at a time. I'm going to do all that, and then I'm going to proceed. So we're going to take a little break, and then I'll see you back soon as we continue our filling of the pills for Lou Cooper. Thank you very much.